What's that? You need a cup of something? Cup of Joe?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of A Cup of Joe with Mendo. Today I have Marco from AndGO Sports. AndGO Sports is a local recruiting agency here on Long Island. They deal with student athletes looking to potentially play at the college level and further on to the professional ranks. So, Marco, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Alex, for the invitation.
And today in our topic, we're going to talk about how potential recruits can stay active in the recruiting process at the university level. So Marco, some of your suggestions, what could players do to stay active during this pandemic rather?
Yeah. Even with the dead period going on, it was just recently extended to May 31st. I think if there's one thing that a lot of these recruits might have that they wouldn't typically have during a spring season is time. Take the time to really do the research on schools and programs that are out there that might make sense for you. Take the time towards highlight videos, take the time towards, just doing your due diligence on certain, I guess, options you might have in the future. So, with the pandemic going on in this dead period, you definitely are limited to certain things, only communicating via email and phone. There's no on campus or off campus, checking it out. And there are no events to get that straight up exposure. But there definitely are a lot of things that can be done in order to prepare yourself for when things get back to, I guess, normal.
Right, absolutely. And I would say that there's a series of like tips and things that these players can go into, right?
Yeah, I mean, as far as tips, starting the recruiting process early. What does early mean? I'm not telling you that if you're a current eighth grader, you should start emailing schools, but definitely on the girl side, let's just say freshmen going into their sophomore year, depending the level, if you're trying to target those higher profile schools, I would say that's when you can start. If it's more Division II, Division III, they're not really looking at players at that point. On the boys side, sophomore year going into your junior year, just start laying out the groundwork, start making connections. I know if I'm a college coach, and I see that someone's been communicating with me for the last 2 years, and that communication has been going, and I've seen progression with the player, and that sort of personality, those are the sort of players that I'm going to want on my roster. So definitely starting early versus, waiting for this pandemic to be over. You lose 6 months, and then, you're just trying to start the relationships then.
Of course. And I know now that we're all obviously can't participate in an active sport and contact sport now, and getting say type of footage to present to coaches and the exposure aspect is a little bit challenging. What are some of your suggestions for that?
Um, yeah, the challenge is there's challenges, and there's way to overcome those challenges, and I think we're gonna figure it out. We'll definitely figure it out.
Right. And I think with too, like having access to video and stuff like that, and that's something that I'm sure you guys, speak with your recruits with and players, right?
It's something that we speak about all the time. It's so important. It's just that sort of avenue to make the introduction and spark the interests.
Sure.
We can all, write emails to coaches and say, we've done this, we've done that. But truly, footage is going to start that communication and spark that interests that college coaches might be looking for.
Right. Absolutely. And I think nowadays having a highlight tape and getting that out, even though right now we're not playing, but to have a tape and even if it's a few clips to share that with coaches and spark that interest, like you said, and then add to that almost like a resume to some extent, like a virtual or video type resume.
Yeah, I would say also with the footage, that highlight tape is great. I don't think it needs to be fancy with, uh, you know, fire behind the soccer ball as you shoot it and, airplanes going across the screen. I would just keep it very simple. I would also have access to a full game, raw footage. You and I can look really good on a highlight video
Right.
where they're going to them, meaning the coaches are going to want to see the raw footage. They're going to want to see the good, the bad, the decisions you make before and after the play.
Mhm.
So having the highlight, having the raw. If you don't have either one, a suggestion is setting up drills and just filming that. Maybe start a YouTube page and start putting little clips on there. Coaches really have the capability of picking a player apart with those little things. So um, especially now, if there's one thing that recruits should learn is, if there is another situation like this in the future, footage is going to be, one of the top recruiting sort of tools that recruits will have.
Right. Absolutely. And that's awesome. I mean, that's a good tip for those out there that can't get, current footage and but that's an awesome point. And that goes into my next question is really with communication. Now everything is through email and or phone call. So what is your suggestion with that? I mean, there's a
Uh,
lot of, players writing coaches nowadays. So to stand out, you know,
the communication is limited, but whatever communication there is, whether it's, let's just talk email. It's just, what most kids do. And it's how coaches really communicate. We don't have time to have long conversations. So with these emails that are going out, it's really just, it's taking the time to look into the program, look into the school, um, but also just keeping it very short and sweet. You
right,
don't have to start detailing every reason why you want to go to that specific school. Maybe there's some sort of connection there with that particular program. Maybe there's a player that's a year or two older than you that is doing well in that particular program. So bringing that up where, hey, I know that there's a teammate of mine that, well, not a teammate, a player of yours that played at the same club that's doing well. Hopefully I can also contribute to your program, hoping I play at the same level as that player.
right, absolutely. So these are some great tips. Marco, thank you for joining me today and sharing your insight. And hopefully our viewers can take something away from this and help them with the process. So for everyone out there, please check out Marco and AndGO Sports on social media. And hope you have a great day. See you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Here we go. You got your Spain cup. I got my Portugal cup.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Wilson from